A huge green-like UFO flashes continuously in the sky of Texas, USA on August 14, 2021. An unidentified flying object takes off in front of the door after a dog barked at it in New Jersey, United States on August 17, 2021. An unidentified flying object is seen in the sky of Phoenix, Arizona on August 2, 2021. A witness reveals the sighting of an unidentified flying object in the sky of Naples, Florida, United States on December 23, 2020. An unidentified flying object is constantly changing its shape in the sky of Cactus, Texas on August 17, 2021. 9:14 p.m. A huge green-like UFO is constantly flashing in the sky of Texas, USA on August 14th. The witness describes the sighting. I had just arrived at an outdoor restaurant and bar. I had taken a few sips of my first beer and was standing near 3 men. We had been casually chatting for about 10 minutes as I smoked a cigarette. It was partly cloudy and sheet lightning started appearing high in the clouds, but I did not hear any thunder. While watching the lightning, I noticed a craft with 5 or more green lights blinking on and off. The lights were changing from a bright green to a reddish, yellowish orange color quite high in the sky. Based on my limited knowledge of altitude, I thought that a pilot in a Cessna or Piper was taking a night flight, but couldn't understand why a pilot in such a small plane would risk flying in a flight when an electrical storm was brewing. I felt sorry for the pilot, convinced that her flight conditions were dangerous. I kept watching the craft and began questioning more things about it. Its lights were a complete anomaly. Its movements seemed uncanny. It would slow down then speed up, moving to the north, jutting to the east, shifting to the west, then slightly to the south, doing so producing no sound whatsoever. Sheet lightning was coming from behind a few clouds and the craft briefly headed toward it. Everything about the craft and its maneuvers was puzzling to me, so I kept an eye on it. I can only estimate the craft's altitude because it was at the level of the clouds, approximately 10,000 feet. The way the craft's lights were behaving was extremely strange, and the shape they formed did not resemble a Cessna, Piper, private jet or commercial airline. It was more of a chevron shape, but at times also appeared round. Suffice to say, I was perplexed. The altitude alone was clearly too low for a commercial airliner or private plane, so based on the movements of the craft I ruled out any airplane. I began to wonder if it was a helicopter, yet there were no obvious rotor blade sounds. I moved away from the 3 men I was talking to, because one of them was distracting me, and I quickly scanned the skies again. The attached 16-second video is the evidence I captured, but unfortunately, I didn't speak to anyone else present to obtain possible additional witnesses. The abrasive man I had been speaking to at the time of my sighting did, however, notice that I was following the craft. He stated that was a private plane and abruptly shut his observation short. I wish that I hadn't now, but I found him quite obnoxious. The video, taken on my iPhone, only depicts a greenish, round orb with very little details. 3:15 a.m. Eastern Time, an unidentified flying object takes off in front of a door after a dog barked at it in New Jersey, United States on August 17th. The witness says, "My dog was barking very loudly this morning standing by the door. I thought maybe the thief was trying to get into my house. I checked to see what I captured from my security camera, and this is what I saw. I couldn't believe what I was seeing." The sighting began with an unidentified flying object emits a lot of light and energy, slowly descending in front of the window and the dog looking at it, and then the light started to get stronger as the dog barked. Then the light from the unidentified flying object decreased and it made an amazing takeoff very quickly. Of course, any explanation from the skeptics will not make sense in this case, such as modern technology and drones, since we have never seen a drone take off so quickly. As for the interpretation of supporters of the theory of the existence of intelligent life outside the planet, their explanation in this case is that the increased intensity of light and energy emitted of such unidentified flying objects indicate that they are preparing themselves to take off at high speed, and this is what actually happened. Unidentified flying object in the sky of Phoenix, Arizona on August 2nd. A couple woke up at night to the sound of something banging on their front wall. They get out to looking for the reason outside. The witness says, "I walked around our house outside and didn't see anyone. I walked into the backyard to check back there, nothing. I looked up in the northern sky and saw two stars side by side. As I was looking at the stars, the one on the right started to move slowly downward. As it moved it downward, it started to get brighter and brighter. I said to myself, this can't be a satellite. The object then slowed to a stop and then moved up in a swooping manner and passed through a small faint cloud above it. As it moved through the cloud, the brightness became a circle of white light as it passed through the cloud, and it then faded away as a circle into nothingness." Of course, what the witness saw in the sky that night was not an ordinary plane or a drone, based on the photos he took. He also confirmed that it is not a satellite. The witness's description of the UFO taking off applies to most UFO sightings during takeoff, where the UFO becomes brighter and radiates lighter and energy before taking off at a high speed, what described by the witness as disappearing in the night sky. But what about the outside sound that the witness spoke about, which caused him and his wife to wake up from sleep? I think that the two incidents are separate, and it is just a coincidence that something made the sound outside the house, which caused them to go out to find out the reason, and at the same time the unidentified flying object was present in the sky, so the sighting was documented. A witness reveals the sighting of an unidentified flying object in the sky of Naples, Florida, United States, that was recorded on December 23, 2020. The orange unidentified flying object is constantly flashing in the sky, and also emitting a lot of light and energy as usual. The intensity of the illumination and brightness of the unidentified flying object in the sky lags regularly, and its color changes from orange to white. I believe that the unidentified flying object is smaller than it appears in the sky, and increases in size according to the intensity of the illumination emitted by it. The witness says, "On this date I was heading to chicken coop on property when I noticed the flashing light in sky and object cruising suddenly changed to hovering and then to cruising, hovering again and then high speed before finally making a fast move and disappearing. Although the unidentified flying object is slowly moving in the night sky, it definitely indicates a very superior technology." Unidentified flying object constantly changing shape in the sky of Cactus, Texas on August 17th. Unidentified flying object photographed by a couple in the sky of Texas. The unidentified flying object is constantly changing its shape and color, and flying at a low altitude near the roof of a house. The unidentified flying object does not appear to be metallic, since it is impossible for a metallic object to constantly change its shape in this way. The witness says, "My wife took attached pics from her cell phone in Cactus, Texas. It hovered in the sky for over an hour, then slowly moved more south from its original east position.